Big G! And here we have a Peugeot 308. And it's 2008 model year. This car is a new car to me in the sense that it's never been in my garage before. So this is a new customer, and the backstory of this car is probably more interesting than anything. This car has been to 3 different garages for all different things, all in succession it appears, and all pretty recently. The guy actually hasn't owned this car very long, and he spent a fortune on it. So we'll have a wee look in the boot, and there's a big cardboard box full of stuff. And he told me this was here, and he's given me as much information as I can, you know, or as he can, what's been done to it, and fair play to him for that. So this is a head gasket set that hasn't been opened, so well, we'll see. And what we've got here, timing chain kit. So there's a few guides there. Yeah, a lot of wear on them guides, and there's bits broken off it as well. So you can see that there. It's it's another bit broken. Alrighty, so what have we got? Oh, the infamous top chain guide, which is far too long. It's in 2 bits there, and you can see the witness marks there. So chain's been slack, and it's rattled at the death. Oh, with a new VVT, cam phaser, variable valve timing, or in these cars they call it a Vanish unit. This car has a 1.6 engine that's the same as what you find in the BMW and the Minis. It's a PSA BMW joint venture engine, so you get them in Peugeot, Citroens, BMWs and Minis, these engines. And yeah, old chain, tensioner. Oh, he's changed the bolts by the looks of it. Okay, that's good. And oh, look at this here. I think we have been to the dentist there. Well, that one. Well, okay, so the car's had a timing chain fitted, and a new VVT, and all the stuff that goes with it. So there you go. Oh, what's this? Delphi. That looks, that's probably original then. So he told me, I asked him, well, why was that changed? And he says they took that out, and it was all covered in plastic debris, and they didn't like the look of it, so they changed it. So that's all right, and it's been changed for an FII one. So in this car, because you know there's only variable valve timing on the intake, so there's only the one there. And what have we got here? We have another box. Oh, pressure transducer, it says on it. Pureberg. What have I got here? Oh, a vacuum solenoid. Right, okie doke. So, looks as if it's been changed. Is it the original one? Take it, it is. Any markings on it? Yeah, there's a few markings on it. It's just a lot of numbers. Right, and last but not least, we have another box. Turbo diverter valve. So, yeah, those wee boots split, but I don't know, looks alright, that one. So, I don't know. Might test some of this stuff see if it actually works. But anyway, bit of a history. So we'll pop the hood and have a wee look around, or as we call it in our part of the world, a hood. So the bonnet's now up, and yeah, he told me a brief bit, you know, quite detailed of what's going on here, and he told me he had the turbo reconditioned, and yes, it looks very like it. So there's been a few guys in here, clearly timing chain's been done, and this turbo's been reconditioned. There's a new, very new looking actuator there. He told me that the turbo coolant pump, this turbo's cooled with that pipe there. That's the oil feed pipe, and that is coolant pipes. So that's a water cooled turbo, or coolant cooled turbo, and that is the pump to pump the coolant in through the turbo. And we can see here that we have, well, a few wires hanging about the place, and we have a cover missing. That's a bit loose. Let me see what else. There's a wire not clipped in. We'll go over to here, and these fuel pipes flinging about the place. Coolant bottle is bogging. We'll maybe give that a clean out for him. He did tell me he thought there was water in the, or oil in the water or something, or oil in the coolant, and well, something's happened to that, because that's supposed to be that colour. So yeah, clearly this thing, well, it's been a part by these 3 different garages that it's been to. There's a broken fastener there. Yeah, so that's look at that there. You leave things like that. That's desperate. That's the new diverter valve there. So yeah, Pierberg. Okay. Well, anyway, customer complaint is idle's a bit rough, hesitant on driving. Power, you know, when you get it up to the revs, it goes okay, but it's very hesitant on the takeoff. And he's actually has a wee cheap plug-in job, and he sent me a screenshot of it, and he's getting a pending code. The engine management light is not on, and there's a pending code. What's all this here? Stuff, bit of carpet. Pending code P2191. So we'll do a full system scan here and see what the crack is. Just before we do that, here's some work quality. There's tape wrapped around that intake pipe. So that's the intake from the air filter, which is away in the back there. That's not the air filter there. That's the it's just the way the air comes in. It's like a resonator, and yeah, that's a little tape around that. That's how I look around here. Lovely. Right, we're plugged into the car here with our extension, because the Maxisys doesn't like these Peugeot plugs, and we found this wee guy here, ProScan, sitting on the passenger seat. So that's what he must have been using to read the thing himself, but he's been reading OBD only, probably. So let me see, what have I got here? So full deep scan here, and 3 faults in total. So everything else all right. So injection ignition fault, BSI, and under inflation detection. So we'll just have a wee look at a couple of these here just to see, for a giggle. And let's see what we've got. Rear left valve battery flat fault. Alright, so that's TPMS. Look at this freeze frame data here. Let's see. So we're stationed at the minute left hand 2.4, right hand 2.3, right hand 2.5. And that looks good there, so it must be a battery going in the tire valve. And it doesn't like, but we'll not worry about that. We don't care about that nonsense. So what's this? Nice. I'll take a wee. I'll do a wee dance here to get through this BSI. I'll probably have to turn the ignition off. So we'll just pause the video there. Okay, we're back. So you just have to turn the ignition off and on to get to read that. Unexpected reinitialization fault comes with the BSI. Well, I don't know what that is, but maybe because the battery was disconnected or something. But what we're interested in is the engine, injection system, and all that malarkey. So we'll see if we can. So the guys told me he had a P2191, but the engine management light is not on, and we have mixture regulation fault. So followers of the channel here will maybe recognize that code in a Peugeot, and it's down to the timing being off, and the valves are open at the wrong time. So it basically detects an internal air leak because the valves are open at the wrong time. Anyway, this is freeze frame data. We can't get freeze frame data on the OBD side because the engine management light isn't on, but we'll have a wee look at that as well. So see this quick richness correction, that's your fuel trims. 6% slow richness correction. So it's just another way of wording it. 28. So it's that 28 it's caused that to come on there. And he was doing 77k and 2,500 revs a minute. He was up the temperature. So there you go. It's all the data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick OBD stand here with the engine on. So we're in the OBD side. Any DTCs? Engine management light is not on, remember? So pending. System 2 lane at higher load. P2191. So the guy was reading that on his wee dongle thing. So he was reading that. He could see that pending code there. But for that to be 28%, pretty surprised the engine management light is not on. The last one of these I did, the engine management came on at 25. So we'll just see what that's sitting at. We'll give the car a start once we'll load up the PIDs. So this is all part of the diagnostic, and yeah, well that code, I sort of know what's wrong with this thing anyway, but we'll get her up. And it's going to take a while to go into closed loop. Right, so that's her in closed loop, and we look at the trims there. So there's our long term, 28%, which is the reflects on the Peugeot freeze frame data. Short term, bouncing about the zero there. And if I give her a wee touch of throttle, it's probably not coming up in camera there, but it is a bit hesitant when you flip the throttle, and the fuel trims just go all over the place. So the other wee thing, if I have a wee look at our lambda, so oxygen center output, let me see. Yeah, equivalence ratio. So right, okay, that's supposed to be a wideband lambda on it then. So if it's at lambda, this should read 1. So if it reads 1, it means it's in stoichiometry, which is, you know, the ultimate ratio of 14.71 fuel and air mixture, and you want that to read a steady sort of as near as 1. It will probably maybe not be 1, but in this case it's just there's over 1, and you can see the milliamps there. So the wideband lambdas operate on current, small amount of amps there, milliamp, and it's reflecting the equivalence ratio there. It's going from plus to minus, so it's bouncing about, and that then is reflected in our trims. If we look at our short-term trims there, it's positive at the minute, and but our long term stuck 28.9. There's it minus again. So yeah, okay, that's our fault. The fault is because that long term fuel trim is stuck at 28, and that has crept up. It sometimes takes a while to creep up. You know, you can take guys reset adaptions, and you take it for a drive, do a lot of miles, and it creeps up again, and it gets to a certain value. The last car I had with this, it went to 25, and it threw the management light on. This one, it's just pending at the minute, so the management light will come on at some time. So maybe somebody's reset the adaptions, and it just hasn't got to the threshold yet. But from pure experience, without doing any really more diagnosis, this thing's had a timing chain, and the timing's off in this car. And here we go for the strip down, and as if by magic, it's now all stripped down. I was going to do a bit of fancy editing there and do like a thing to time lapse or something, but I couldn't be bothered because I got underneath the car and I saw something, and it's made me pretty angry. Right, I was putting that timing pin in there to lock the flywheel, and I had a wee look up in, and you remember we were looking at the bit, and we found a vacuum solenoid that had been replaced. Well, there's the vacuum solenoid, and look at the way it's mounted. There's some job in it. It's not mounted at all. It's just hanging on the wire and the vacuum pipes. It's just, there we go, look. There we go. It's just dangling about there. What the... Right, okay. That is unbelievable. So I'm going to tell you a few things that I wasn't actually going to say in this video. Right, first of all, that pin that you saw is in the flywheel. The pistons are not at TDC, they're all at a midpoint. So I've put a wee flag on the screwdriver there, and you can see that they're all in the same position. So they're all sitting level. Okay? Right. The reason why I'm going over a couple of things here is because I did a video on this exact same problem before, and there was a load of comments, and some of the comments were ridiculous, to tell you the truth, you know. So there was somebody said, how can the pistons be all in the same position? And I just didn't, I'm just not answering stupid questions, you know. All right, I know people don't know and all that, but before you comment, you know, do a wee bit of research or something. Somebody also contested a torque spec that I said as well of 0.6 Newton meters, and he says, oh, surely you mean DA Newton meters. And he wasn't asking, he was, you know, quite blunt about it. And there's a few other stupid comments about, you know, the timing tools that I use. You know, they're rubbish ones on Amazon, they don't fit well. Well, they all do, and they're dead on. So you can cut all that nonsense out. Right, the thing I'm going to tell you, and I've asked the owner's permission to say this, and he went, no problem, go ahead, is this guy has spent an absolute fortune on this car. He bought this car for $2,000, and he has spent $3,000 on it. And it is unbelievable, the quality of the workmanship that I'm seeing. I don't know whether a lot of these parts actually needed replaced or not, because this car has the timing off, because that timing chain that has been fitted, and yes, we see all the new components, and it's a new guide rail, and that's dead on, but it's out of time, so it hasn't been tensioned correctly. This is another example of that. So I did a video about 6 months ago with the exact same problem, not the exact same engine, but an engine very, very similar. The only real difference of the other one was there was variable valve lift, and there was another Vanos here on the intake. It was a slightly more powerful engine, but it's basically the same engine. So we'll do the same test again. If you saw that video before, you'll know all about this. We'll hold the screwdriver against this flat here, and I don't even have to do that. I can look down the camshaft and I can see that that is sitting over like that. And the exhaust one isn't too bad. It's pretty perpendicular. So I can see that that's sitting over like that on that flat there. And just another wee point to note, so all the pistons are mid-level. You know you're on the right stroke. There's writing on the camshafts here, electro embossed in the camshaft, and they are uppermost. And this end of the camshaft here is on its flat. The other side of that piece there is a dome shape. So if the dome shape's facing up and you don't see the writing in the camshaft, you're on the wrong stroke. So I've tidied that wee bit of wiring up in there. That's all the far I'm going to go for now. The reason for that is I'm going to order a couple of new bolts. Now, even though those bolts have been changed, the old bolts are in that kit that's in the boot. I am going to replace them again, and they're pennies, they're a couple of quid each or something. So I just have to wait on them coming, and I'm not going to go any further with it at the minute. But what I am going to maybe try to do is I'm going to remove this battery and this battery box and all that jazz, and see if I can get in underneath the manifold in there, and see if I can do something with that solenoid valve. In the meantime, I'll put a link down below in the doobly-doo. I'll probably pin it in the comment section, because I don't think anybody reads the description of the original video with one of these engines, and going through the whole process and what I did and how I found out about what that fault code actually means and blah blah blah. And yeah, so you might sound hear from my voice I'm a wee bit disgruntled, you know. I just read a comment before I put this video up here. I just read a comment on an old video I did about 18 months ago. Can you provide a link to this part, please? And I replied, no, you need to look it up yourself. I am not going to provide links, and I'm not going to look things up for you. This is not a helpline. I'm not here, and I am not selling anything, and I do not provide these videos are not to promote myself as a service provider. This is just purely a hobby to me, you know. So, you know, all those guys have been asking, how can I get into contact with you? I want to bring my car to you. You know, just forget it. You know, don't bother with that. And any more of that nonsense, those comments won't be answered from now on. That's it. So I'm fed up with it. Listen, I'm in a bad mood because I've seen this guy's been, I don't know. Yeah, use your own terminology, but this hasn't been done right, and that's, you know, it seems to be that's the cause of all these problems. Apparently there was an oil leak at the turbo, you know, and they went and reconditioned the whole turbo because of that. The guy has spent a fortune in this car, $3,000, more than he paid for it, and he took it to somebody else, and they took the inlet manifold off, and they will not blast the valves, you know. Now, were they trying to solve this problem by doing that? Because, you know, that's not the problem. This timing chain hasn't been tensioned properly. And, you know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a part 2 of this, and I'm going to show in detail the exact steps of how to rectify this, you know. So I'm giving away trade secrets, and I'm giving away all that. And don't ask me to come and do it for you, you know. And if you can't do it yourself, take it to somebody else or whatever. And if you can't look parts up on Google or whatever, or go to your motor factors and give them your registration and they'll tell you what it is, then you shouldn't be working at cars. And to be quite honest with you, the looks of some of the workmanship that's been going on here, I don't know. It's highly questionable. Let's put it that way. So, anywho, sorry about the rant. And it's just unbelievable what I'm seeing here. So, you know, I really feel for the owner of this car. You know, he must be pulling his hair out. So, anywho, thanks for watching, and yeah, tomorrow's another day. All the best. Bye bye.